This term's task was to create an interactive magazine. We were given a different topic each week. By the end of every week, we would have created our own interactive magazine page for the topic that Lewis had chosen. On the magazine page, there had to be a written piece, a vidcast, and a podcast. There were 6 weeks in this term, which meant we had to create 6 different magazine pages. Week 1 was tutorials and reviews. So I did a Victoria sponge cake, and my vidcast was to create a video on how to make it, and my written piece was about the history. And then week 2 was an interactive page on Harlow. So I chose to do my written feature on the history of Harlow, and then my podcast was an interview with someone that has lived in Harlow her whole life. And then week 3 was clickbait, and I chose to do like the 10 steps to great skin. So I did a podcast on a review of 2 different moisturisers, and then for my vidcast I got a lot of different skincare adverts and put them all together and created a completion of different adverts. Week 4 was a history topic, so I chose to do the history of the Tower of London, and I interviewed a student that hadn't been to the Tower of London before and what he knew about it and if he'd like to go. And then my vidcast was a documentary that was online, and I edited it and cropped it out to make it relevant to my topic. And then week 5 was opinion pieces, so I chose to do animals in captivity because I feel strong about that and I don't think it's right. And then my podcast was an interview with someone about animals in captivity, and my vidcast was a clip talking about it. And finally, week 6 was reviews task. So I did a lot of different reviews. I did a review on MAC Foundation, the new James Arthur CD, and the film called I Miss You Already. And then my podcast was my podcast was an interview with a student talking about their makeup. And my vidcast was the trailer to I Miss You Already, but I had a voiceover and some photos that I had edited to make it original. So in this term, I'd created a full magazine full of written work, vidcasts and podcasts. Each week, I would have completed at least one page for the magazine, and I had to do this by 3 p.m. on every Friday. Then at the beginning of the term, we had to create a research folder in Blendspace, and every week we had to add to the research folder with photos, videos, written work, and just anything that gives us inspiration. Each week I was finding different types of research. For example, for the week about history, I was finding facts and statistics about my chosen subject. But then for reviews week, I would only be finding images because the written work would have been opinionated and I didn't need facts for it. But then for my opinion piece, which was about animals in captivity, I was finding stories and anecdotes about what had happened to the humans and the animals when they were in captivity. So my research was really important because if I was to lose my work, I would have all my research would still be there. And although I'd have to rewrite all my work, I wouldn't have to do all the research again because I would have done it all in Blendspace. The more research you do, the better, because it shows that you didn't rush the task and it shows you took the time to find out about it. From my research, I learned that you should always write everything down you do. So everything you do or you read, take a photo of it or screen grab it and put it on Blendspace, because then they know that what you've looked at. At the beginning, my podcasts were a little bit robotic and I didn't speak as fluently as I should have. My first podcast was an interview about history of Harlow. I don't think my choice of person to interview was very good. I should have chosen someone slightly older. However, from that week on, my podcast got better, and by the end for the last week, my podcast was fluent. I spoke with confidence, and also the person I'd chosen for the interview was perfect for the topic. It was the right target audience, right everything. I think all my podcasts were successful because they all spoke about the topic, they were all relevant, and they all worked on the InDesign pages. However, my podcasts definitely improved with time. I was happy with my podcast because when I first started this course, I didn't think I'd be able to do them, but now I'm producing a podcast every single week. I definitely achieved all my goals because each week I produced a working podcast. My strengths were definitely figuring out what questions to ask in an interview or even the script for a podcast. However, I don't have much confidence even when they don't see my face, so my voice didn't portray my confidence very well. A lot of my vidcasts were clips from the internet, which I had edited and cropped to make them my own. In 1 week, I created a video of me creating the Victoria sponge cake, showing different angles and camera positions. This was my first video, and my editing wasn't very good. It was a bit jumpy and didn't flow very well. However, as each week went on, I created a lot of vidcasts, and my editing skills improved. I'm very happy with all my videos I produced because each one helped explain my topic more, and they were all very relevant. My strength when it came to vidcasts was the fact that I was able to find good clips and good information that was relevant to my topic. On my last week, I used a trailer from the internet, but put a voiceover over the top so it was original. I would say that my biggest weakness was my editing skills because I wasn't familiar with the software, but as the weeks went on, I got more familiar and a lot more confident. If I could start again and change something, I would have maybe made more videos rather than using clips from the internet. I believe that all my InDesign pages were successful because each of them gained a written feature, podcast and vidcast. Each week my interactive magazine design improved and became more and more professional, looked more professional and looked a lot better than what they did on my first week. I was happy with all my interactive pages because each week I tried so hard on all the different weeks and put so much effort in to make sure everything was done to my best ability. I could have improved my tablet magazine by improving the designs during the first week. I could have also used more photos because magazines are very photo orientated. I believe that I achieved my goals because I completed all the interactive pages before the deadline for every week. My strength for this part of the task was the different design and placing the videos and podcast text and photos to make sure that it was readable in one layout. However, contrasting with this, my biggest weakness was trying to do the exact same thing in a different layout. Each week we had to do liquid layout, which means our page must be read both vertical and horizontal. I was able to do the layout one way, but when I had to do it the other way, I struggled to make sure it was readable and didn't look too squashed because we wasn't allowed to change sizes of text or photos. To summarise, in this topic I have learned a number of things. The first, I learned about a lot of different topics. I also learned how to use InDesign properly, and I have now created over 20 different pages on InDesign, and I am now really confident when using it. I have also grown confidence when using Audacity and Premiere Pro to edit my videos and podcasts. My biggest weaknesses when it came to the task was having the confidence to talk on camera and on the pod. However, my strengths were the ability to come up with good ideas each week, the fact I was able to complete each week before the deadline, and also my design ideas were all different, and each of my pages were very unique. If I was to do this topic again, I would make sure all my videos were original without taking clips from the internet. I would do this by putting more thought into my videos and put a bit more planning into them. I would also make sure everyone that I interviewed was relevant to the topic, and I could do this by having the confidence to ask people that I don't know to do an interview. Overall, I think I did really well in this task because my interactive design pages all worked and I was able to make sure every week was in on time. My research was always thorough and my podcast and vidcasts were always working.